They lied to you, you know. Who are you? What do you want from me? I'm not the one you should be afraid of. But if you want answers, you're going to have to trust me. Trust you? You broke into my lab, and now you're whispering cryptic nonsense like I'm part of some conspiracy. Because you are. What do you mean? You've been studying the artifact, haven't you? How did you? No, you're not going to distract me. Who sent you? The artifact sent me. It's not what you think it is. You're insane. It's a piece of alien technology. I've spent the last 5 years proving it. And what have you proven, exactly? That it's emitting some kind of signal. A pulse. Something I haven't fully decoded yet. And did you ever stop to think who might be on the other end of that signal? Who are you? Call me Zyler. I'm here to help you, Dr. Morgan. But first, you need to understand what you're dealing with. All right, Zyler. Let's say I believe you're not completely insane. What's the artifact's purpose? It's a prison. A prison? You're joking. Far from it. That signal you're studying isn't just random noise. It's a distress call. From who? Not who. What? I don't understand. The artifact, it doesn't just house a prisoner. It is the prisoner. You're not making any sense. The entity inside was condemned by the Zorrak Council over 3 millennia ago. A crime they didn't commit. Wait, you're saying this thing, is alive? Alive, sentient, and suffering. And you're the first human to get close enough to hear its voice. If this is true, and that's a big if, why would the Zorrak Council imprison it here? To hide their mistake? You're saying they locked up an innocent being and just left them here? For eternity. That's exactly what I'm saying. Why are you telling me this? Why now? Because you're the only one who can set it free. Set it free? You're asking me to release a being that's been locked away for 3,000 years? Yes. What if it's dangerous? It's not. How do you know? Because I've spoken to it. You've spoken to it? Yes. And it's desperate. It's weak. But most of all, it's innocent. You expect me to just take your word for this? No. I expect you to listen to it yourself. How? The signal. You've already started decoding it, haven't you? Yes, but then finish it. And what if you're wrong? What if releasing it causes more harm than good? That's a risk you'll have to take. Why me? Why not someone else? Because you're the only one who cares enough to look deeper. You found the artifact. You studied it. And now, you're the only one who can decide its fate. This is insane. Maybe. But deep down, you know I'm right. All right. Let's say I believe you. What do I need to do? Finish decoding the signal. It's trying to communicate with you. Once you understand its message, you'll know what to do. And what happens if I release it? Then the truth comes out. And the Zorrak Council will have to answer for what they've done. This feels bigger than me. It is. But that's why you were chosen. I wasn't chosen. I just happened to stumble upon the artifact. Nothing about this was an accident. What do you mean? The artifact didn't want to be found by just anyone. It chose you. Why me? Because you're not like the others. You're curious. Relentless. You want to understand, not exploit. And you're sure about this? As sure as I've ever been about anything. All right, Zyler. I'll decode the signal. But if this goes wrong, it won't. You better hope you're right. Dr. Morgan, you've been at this for hours. Not now, Alice. I'm close. Close to what? You've been staring at that screen for weeks, and now you're talking to yourself. I'm not talking to myself. Then who are you talking to? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me. All right. Do you believe in extraterrestrial life? Are you serious? Dead serious. I don't know. Maybe. What if I told you the artifact we found isn't just alien technology? I'd say you're finally losing it. It's alive, Alice. And it's been sending a distress call for 3,000 years. What? That's not possible. It is. And I'm about to prove it. How? By finishing this translation. There's a message buried in the signal. A message meant for us. For us? Or for you? What are you implying? You've been obsessed with this thing since the day we found it. What if it's influencing you? It's not. How can you be so sure? Because I've seen the data. It's consistent, logical. This isn't some mind game, Alice. It's real. And what happens if you're wrong? I'm not. You sound so sure. Because I am. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to focus. Dr. Morgan, can you hear me? Who's there? It's me, the prisoner. You're speaking to me. Yes. And I've waited so long for someone to hear me. How is this possible? You unlocked the signal. Your mind is now attuned to mine. What do you want from me? Freedom. And what happens if I set you free? Justice. Justice? For what? For the lies that imprisoned me. For the truth they tried to bury. Who are they? The Zorrak Council. They feared my power. They feared what I represented. And what is that? Hope. Hope. Yes. Hope that the galaxy could be more than what they've made it. Hope that even the smallest voices could change the universe. That's a lot to take in. I know. But you must decide, Dr. Morgan. Will you help me? I don't know. Then let me show you. Let me show you the truth. Show me then, Morgan said, his voice trembling. Show me the truth. The room dimmed. The monitors flickered, and then an unfamiliar pattern of light and energy filled the space. Morgan felt his consciousness tugged, as though being pulled into the pulse of the artifact. Suddenly, his mind was no longer in the lab, but in a vast, shimmering expanse of memories. Memories not his own. He saw the Zorrak Council, their towering forms shimmering with authority. He saw their deliberations, their fear of the entity's growing influence, their decision to silence it. And then, he saw the entity itself. Not a weapon, not a conqueror, but a being of light and knowledge, offering unity to those who would listen. It had been betrayed by its own kind, framed for crimes it did not commit. You were punished for offering peace, Morgan whispered, tears in his eyes. Yes, the prisoner replied. I offered a new path, one where power was shared, not hoarded. They could not allow that. Morgan returned to his body, the connection fading. The artifact glowed faintly now, waiting. Alice's voice broke the silence. Morgan, are you okay? You were just staring into space. I've seen it, he murmured. I've seen the truth. You're scaring me. What's happening? Morgan turned to Alice, determination in his eyes. We have to set it free. Alice stepped back. Are you hearing yourself? This is an alien being we know nothing about. What if it's dangerous? Morgan shook his head. It's not. It's been wrongfully imprisoned for millennia. If we leave it here, we're no better than the ones who locked it away. And if you're wrong? What if freeing it unleashes something we can't control? Morgan hesitated, the weight of the decision pressing on him. He looked at the artifact, pulsing softly, as though waiting for his answer. It's not just about the risk, he said finally. It's about what's right. And this is wrong. Alice sighed. I don't like this, but I'll help you. Just promise me you're sure about this. I am, Morgan said. Let's finish decoding the signal. The final sequence of the decoding process filled the lab with strange frequencies and colors. As the last piece fell into place, the artifact began to hum, its light growing brighter. And then it spoke. Thank you, Dr. Morgan, the voice said, resonating through the room. You have freed me from an eternity of silence. Morgan and Alice watched as the artifact's form began to shift, transforming into a brilliant sphere of energy. It hovered for a moment before projecting a stream of data, a beacon of truth, out into the cosmos. What did you do? Alice whispered. I gave it what it wanted, Morgan said. A chance to tell its story. The days that followed were a blur of chaos. The beacon reached far and wide, drawing attention from distant corners of the galaxy. The Zorrak Council's ships arrived in Earth's orbit, demanding answers. Morgan and Alice found themselves caught in the middle of an interstellar reckoning. But amidst the turmoil, the prisoner's voice rang clear. You have given me freedom, Dr. Morgan. Now, I will give you hope. The galaxy will know the truth, and change will follow. And it did. The truth spread, unraveling centuries of lies. The Zorrak Council's grip on power began to falter. And for the first time in eons, The galaxy saw a glimpse of unity. As for Morgan, he became a symbol of courage, a reminder that even the smallest voices could make the universe listen. The room dimmed. Lights from the artifact pulsed in rhythm with the prisoner's voice, weaving a tapestry of visuals into Morgan's mind. He found himself floating in a kaleidoscope of memory, an alien world with towering crystalline cities, shimmering beings in harmony. And then, darkness. The Zorrak Council's forces descending, accusing, imprisoning. Morgan gasped as the vision ended. "You were a beacon," he said aloud, breathless. "You weren't trying to control them. You were trying to unite them." "Precisely," the prisoner replied. "I offered connection, to share thoughts, ideas, peace. But they called it manipulation." Morgan turned to Alice, his voice cracking. "It's true. The artifact, it's been misunderstood. It's not dangerous. It's revolutionary." Alice paced the room, wrestling with the enormity of what she just witnessed. Even if that's true, what happens if we release it? Do we face the Zorrak Council? Do they see us as allies or threats? The prisoner's voice chimed in. "The Council's grip on power thrives on fear. If you free me, their lies unravel. Others will rise, inspired by your courage." Morgan's fingers hovered over the controls. But what if they retaliate? Earth could become a target. "You cannot control their choices, only your own," the prisoner said softly. "Will you act out of fear or out of hope?" Alice clenched her fists. "If we do this, we're taking a gamble not just with our lives, but with everyone's. And if we don't?" Morgan countered. "We let an innocent being rot in silence forever? We let injustice win?" Silence stretched between them, punctuated by the steady hum of the artifact. Finally, Alice sighed. "All right, let's do it. But if this backfires, I'm blaming you." Morgan gave her a small, grateful smile and turned back to the console. His hands trembled as he entered the final sequence, unlocking the prison. The artifact began to glow brighter, humming with energy. The room shook as the containment field unraveled. "Freedom," the prisoner's voice whispered, full of emotion. After all this time, the artifact disintegrated, releasing a radiant sphere of energy that expanded and reshaped into a towering form, an alien of pure light and shimmering threads of energy. The being looked at Morgan and Alice, gratitude radiating from its presence. "You have my eternal thanks," it said, bowing slightly. "You have done more than free me. You've shown the galaxy that justice can prevail." Before Morgan could respond, alarms blared. The console lit up with incoming transmissions. "It's them," Alice said, eyes wide. "The Zorrak Council. They've detected the release," Morgan murmured. "They're coming." The prisoner raised a hand, calming them. "Do not fear. This is not your fight. It is mine." "What will you do?" Morgan asked. "Show them the truth," the prisoner replied. "Expose their lies to the galaxy, and bring an end to their tyranny." The lab's walls shimmered, and the prisoner transformed back into a sphere of light. With a brilliant flash, it shot into the sky, leaving Morgan and Alice awestruck. The days that followed were chaotic. The Zorrak Council's fleet arrived, demanding explanations. But they were too late. The prisoner had already broadcast its story across the galaxy, rallying allies and inspiring revolts against the Council's oppressive rule. Morgan and Alice watched from Earth as news spread. Planets once divided by fear began to unite, emboldened by the prisoner's message. The Zorrak Council's power crumbled, replaced by a coalition of worlds dedicated to peace and understanding. Years later, Morgan stood beneath the night sky, staring at the stars. Alice joined him, handing him a mug of coffee. "Do you think it's out there somewhere?" she asked. "I know it is," Morgan replied. "And I know we did the right thing." Alice smiled. "You're still the dreamer, aren't you?" "Someone has to be," Morgan said with a chuckle. "After all, hope is a powerful thing." They stood in silence, gazing at the heavens, knowing that their actions had changed the course of history, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy.